Hey folks, this is Jobin. Gonna do a little tutorial today on how to tear down the bolt assembly of the Marlin 882 for a very thorough cleaning or if you need to replace parts. So first off, as always, when doing any maintenance on a firearm, make sure it's unloaded, remove the magazine, inspect the chamber, and then on this rifle, take it off safe, and with the bolt open, pull the trigger and pull the bolt back to remove it. Now, with a bolt-action rimfire, you probably aren't going to need to do a thorough cleaning very often, just in normal use, but you might have to get into this if something happens to the rifle, like it's dropped in mud or something. So, let's get into it. Come on, focus. Okay, first off, this front part here, spin it till it pops free. We'll set that aside for now and get to that a little bit later. This houses the firing pin and the extractor. Now, to get into here, you insert a small screwdriver under this little flap and then lift this claw here free. Keep sliding your screwdriver in. This part's kind of a pain, you just basically have to shove. There we go. Okay, set that aside. And then here's your firing pin. It goes in like this, and note in this slot, back here in this hole, there is a very small spring. Which pushes the firing pin back to the ready position. So that's a very small part, you need to be careful you don't lose. And when you're putting it back together, kind of need to just drop it in there and wiggle it around a bit till it goes down into its hole. And then put the firing pin in like that. Okay, see this band that's milled out here, and there's a matching section on the firing pin. So we need to push it forward a little bit so those match up. And then grab the extractor. And this is, if possible, even more of a pain than getting it off. But it's kind of brute force sort of thing. Actually, might be going okay. If it gets hung up, it's probably because the firing pin slid back a little bit, so push it forward and then try pushing your stuff down again. There we go, snapped on one side, snapped on the other side. Good. Okay, let's take a look at the rear half of the bolt. This houses the handle, obviously, and the spring which smacks the firing pin to discharge the cartridge. Now, to take this apart, currently this is in the cocked position, which happens every time you open the bolt. And see this pin resting this little notch here? We have to uncock it in order to make this as easy as possible later on. So, grasp the bolt, grasp the knob here, pull back, and rotate. From this perspective, it would be counterclockwise. And let it slide forward. So that the pin is down in this milled out recess here. Okay. Now it's decocked, so take a small screwdriver and unscrew this tiny little screw. See how tiny that thing is? Do not lose that, you're screwed. Ugh, no pun intended. And then you can pull out, I don't know what the technical name for this would be exactly, but this assembly here with the spring and the rod. You might be able to take it down further from here, but it's really not necessary. I can't imagine it ever being necessary. So let's put it back together now. Slide it back into the uncocked position, and you will note that that screw hole there matches up with that one there. If you unscrewed this without decocking it first, that would not be the case, and you would be able to turn this brass bushing here or whatever, but it would just be more troublesome. If you do it like I just showed you, it'll go back together a lot more smoothly. So take your tiny little screw, drop it into the hole, put it back in. Okay, now we have to return it to the cocked position, which takes a fair amount of strength on something that's probably going to be slippery with gun oil. Not sure if I'll be able to do it on camera. I'm going to have to adjust my grip. Hold on a sec. Okay, there we go. It's now back to cocked. So now we're going to put the two halves of the bolt assembly back together. And I don't know if you can see it, but inside there, can you see that little tiny pin up near the top? Okay. You're going to match that up with this groove right there. And it goes. And then rotate it until it matches up like that. And we're done reassembling it. At this point, reinsert the bolt, pull the trigger to get it past the trigger mechanism. There we go. Marlin 882 bolt action rimfire teardown and reassembly. Hope you guys found this helpful, and always remember where your knife is.